Buenos dias. Welcome back to the Cafe con Luis podcast, episode number 6. And today we're having our first guest. Like I mentioned in the last episode, we've got Jack, who is one of the PTs, now friend at Energy Fitness in Ashford. And we're going to find out a little bit about his life and see what's going on.
Hello.
This is probably going to be quite awkward because
The first 5 minutes is going to be awkward.
yeah, we've had to turn the camera. I don't know where to look. I don't know if to look at you, look at the camera. Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure it out. But we'll start off with a brief overview of who you are, what you do, what the audience need to know about you.
Yeah, so obviously my name is Jack. Been doing personal training now for a little bit. Just jumping into it basically because I enjoy doing fitness and stuff like that. We're starting with just doing bar work and then just half-assing it, but always been going to the gym. So finally got myself into it, doing what I like to do. I've been going to the gym since I was like 16, 17. So it's just been a part of my life the whole time. So yeah, it's like just that's who I am now, I guess. Just
like a natural progression, I guess, because that was the same as me. I think when I started because I was shit at sport.
Shit at sport.
It was sport I played sport for ages, but it was not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I got to 17, I was just like, I'll just start lifting weights.
Yeah.
And then sort of going from there.
I think that's probably the same thing. I was good at sports, but it's like, it was always a barrier. So I played football, but then it's like, if you give up on football too early, then you're fucked later on because everyone's been playing now. So if you start at 16, it's too late.
Yeah.
And then I went into basketball, and then my height didn't agree with that.
I was gonna say.
But to be fair, I think that was more of a mental barrier. I probably could have maybe gone to I think I was always setting myself like high targets. I was never going to make the NBA, but I could have.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
High targets.
I could have went to like UK level probably. I was on the London youth team for basketball at 5'8", so or 5 foot. I was probably like 5'7" at the time, 5'6" when I was like 15. So yeah, I was good at sports, but then I was just like, fuck it, I might as well just lift weights.
Yeah. So what kind of happened what happened obviously from lifting weights to them wanting to be a PT? Like, how did that sort of come about?
At first, I would say, I used to go to the gym with 4 or 5 friends. Yeah, 5 friends. So every day after sixth form, we'd all go downhill. I'd get my white Monster. That was the first thing you could buy when you're like.
I don't think I had white Monster about that. I don't know what we used to get the sugar ones.
I always got white Monster because of Christian Guzman. He was always drinking the white one, so I was like, let me try that. And it was the only flavor I had. And I don't try things after that. If I like something, I'll stick to that.
That's it, yeah.
Yes, I'm safe. Well, I was safer then. And then, so we go with 5 of us. But then obviously 5 people, you always see those teenagers in the gym, 5 guys on one bench press, and you're just like, fuck me, fuck off. And we were never those people because we actually wanted to get better. So we would only do 3 people max to a session. So obviously it would be 2 and then 3. And then I'll go with one guy. And then if he ever watches this, he's going to hate me. But he was so weak. He was like, he could barely bench press the bar. And it was just embarrassing when the rest of us are going a lot higher. And but I was always training with him just because I didn't really care that he was weak as long as he came every day. And so he was kind of like the person that would train. So I was training him without even realizing it. So he was getting stronger, but he was just one of those people. Obviously at the time I was only 17. I didn't understand training or how to train someone or the mental side of it and all that. But he would limit himself, and I think from there I developed training someone in a sense. And then I would start training different people, like girls that I would speak to. We would go gym sometimes if they wanted to, or like my other friends, I'd train those as well. And it's just kind of built up, and I was like, I actually enjoy doing this. It's not just, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything. I'm just helping someone. I think that's where it kind of started.
So that was that like quite early on. So obviously you started lifting 16?
I say I started lifting at 16. I'd done the machines in the gym at 16.
And then when were you training people, or when were you like starting to get more into it?
17. I got my heart broken at like 17, and then just
that's it. You go into it.
When you fuck it, you just rage, start just go into the gym at 2 a.m. in the morning and shit. But after that, I was I started going to gym hard. I think my 9-month transformation was just ridiculous with myself because I was skinny. Obviously, I had to gain weight, I think it's harder to gain weight. And then yeah, my 9 month transformation was just ridiculous. And I was like, okay, I'm actually doing something here. Obviously the money came into it, and you're like, okay, I can make loads of money off this. But then I think over time it's still, obviously you have to live, but it became more to actually help people when you see the difference in, pardon me, how people react to going to the gym. You see someone coming all shy and timid, and then a month later they're, bossing it.
I think, I don't know, like, you have to have that. Like, you have to enjoy helping people, because I think the money side of things, as well as yes, it can be good, but it takes a while to get there. Like, it takes a long time. If that's like the only driving factor for people, like if that was my only driving factor when I started, I'd be fucked. Like, I would not make, like, because you've got to go through stages where you're earning fuck all, and it's obviously the love of helping people that kind of drives you to do that. And I think if you're literally just in it for the money, and I've worked with PTs that have just been in it for the money, and they don't last.
Yeah, I think I got rid of that stage before I became a PT, to be honest, because I was doing it, and then I don't know if you've done it, but I whenever you get a job or whenever you apply for a job, I would always work out how much money I'm going to make for a month every time. And then I started doing it with PT, but obviously it's so different because now you work for yourself. So I'm like, I can charge £50 an hour, and I'll have 8 clients a day, £400 a day, I'm fucking living. I'll just work 3 days a week, and I'm on 1.2 grand a week. I was that deluded. I thought people just want to come with me because I posted videos on Instagram, or I just knew what I was doing. But they don't have a fucking clue. I know what I was doing, and I was a bit delusional in that sense. But I feel like everyone has that delusion with their jobs in a sense.
Oh, I've done it so many times. Like, you work out all the little calculations. Like, right, if I do this, remember when I first started? Well, there was 2 occasions when I first started as PT. I was like, yeah, I'll be renting in 2 months. I was like, yeah, easy. I'll get like 10 clients my first week.
I think I've done the same thing too.
And then literally, I think it was like 2 years ago, I had an idea of doing like small group personal training. So I made the little like schedule, and I was like, right, I could fit this many people in. And I was like, I can make like 6 grand in a month. And I was like, yeah, I can easily do this. And then you like advertise it, you don't get anyone. It's just like, it just
breaks
crashes
your heart.
down. Literally breaks your heart.
You're like, fuck me, I'm gonna fail. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with personal training, to be honest, is they come in with that mindset. And like you said, you've seen people come into it for the money, and then they just crash and burn. But they might act like they're making the most money. I feel like personal trainers are probably like top 5 worst jobs for niggas, if I'm being honest.
In terms of what?
In terms of the standard of PTs, and just the mindset. Like, anyone can be a PT. I always say it, although it kind of discredits what we do in a sense. To get a qualification,
It's not hard.
Piss
It's
easy.
literally like,
and it makes it bad because then it's like, oh, but you have a qualification.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm doing, so it's okay. I back myself to understand the stuff, but the people that you see on these courses is just abysmal.
I suppose it's very much like a driving test.
Yeah.
You do everything to get the qualification, and then you learn how to drive. You don't actually know how to drive when you first. Okay, you know how to pass the test, but you don't actually know how to drive. Training.
You know a few things, and then that's it. But there's some people on my course didn't have a fucking clue. It's hurt my brain.
Yeah.
Like, generally, it pissed me off that they actually failed, and I've never seen anyone fail a PT course.
I used to get people. I had people in my course that were just like, so why? What makes you want to do this? And then they were like, I don't know, just thought it'd be a bit of fun.
Yeah, literally.
$3,000 it was for the course, and it was a bit of fun. It's the most expensive bit of fun ever.
You could have got a happy ending for this. But they, what was it this one said to me? So there was one girl, and she wanted to be a PT. I'm like, obviously, why do you want to be a PT? What's your plan? Blah, blah, blah. And the woman, the instructor that was teaching us, asked us this, and she was like, oh, well, I'm just going to do it part-time. And I think that's where I was like, what do you mean part-time? She's like, yeah, I'm just going to go straight online, just do weekends. So just doing weekends online. And then it's just going to be a side job for I think she was an air hostess or something. So she's an air hostess throughout the week, and then Saturday, Sunday, she's an online coach. I was like, that's not going to work. That's not a business model at all. And yeah, it was just that delusion. I was like, okay. And then you see everyone that's there, and I was like, I kind of felt like the smartest in the room, and I hate feeling like that because it's like, you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And even the instructor said to me, like, yeah, like, they're not going to do very well. Like, so why are you passing them? That's what I don't get. But yeah, there was a few people that I met on there that were quite good with certain aspects, and then we helped each other. But the most part, yeah, the standard of it is just very, very low.
Yeah, it is terrible. So what's made you stay into personal training? Obviously now we know it, we've gone through all of that in terms of the money and stuff, but what keeps you going to want to do it?
I think it doesn't feel like work. I think that's when I realised, because obviously money gets low. It gets hard when you lose 3 clients at once. It's like, fuck, like, what am I going to do? You know, then you start working out your payments and all that, like, all that sort of shit. Like, you lose 1 client, you're like, okay, I've got to get rid of that. Like, I can't do this anymore. And it's just, you break everything down and then you just lose the motivation to do it. I think the thing that's kept me is not going back to where I was. Is that, what's the saying? You always want to run away from the cat. Is it that one? You always want to run away from the cat, not run towards it or something?
Oh, I think
basically running away.
Yeah.
You're gonna run away from your fears more than you're gonna run towards your goals.
Yeah.
And
so people would rather move away from pain than they would towards pleasure.
Exactly. So if in the jobs I worked before, I fucking hate that shit. I don't like working for people. I hate it. Can't stand it. And then working like late hours at the bar and stuff like that, it's just draining, and it feels like work. You just don't want to be there. And then when I'm doing, like, when I'm with a client, it doesn't feel like I'm working. So it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I think that's your telltale sign that you're meant to do that, is if it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, I think if you get in like a flow state, like you said there, where hours can pass and you can do things, and you do things for like the love of it. I feel like we obviously sit in Costa and doing whatever, just constantly doing work. But when I say to people, it's like, oh yeah, I've got to work today. On like a Sunday, like, oh God. I'm like, well, it's not really work though.
Yeah.
It's not like work where I'm clocking in at 9 o'clock in the office and then waiting till my lunch break and sitting there at lunch, like scratch my balls in a bloody sweaty suit and waiting for the day to go. It's like, I actually want to do this. I want to get up and do stuff. And
yeah, exactly.
Making it, because it's not just doing work for the sake of it. It's impacting whoever and whatever down the line.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that's the main thing, is if it doesn't feel like it, then that's what you're meant to do. And I think over the years, I've always tried to find something that didn't feel like work. So trading or this or that, or I'll go from the bar job, then I went to an office job, and that all just felt like work. And then going there, I had my weekends back, but I still felt like shit. Because then on the weekend, I'm just like, I'm living for the weekend now, or I'm working for the weekend. So Monday to Friday, I'm just shit. Like, I don't want to fucking do anything. I didn't even go to the gym at that point, because it was just, I had to finish at 5 p.m. and then I had to get a bus home. It would take me like an hour and a half to get a bus home. I get home at like 7:30, I'd say. And then from there, I would have to go to the gym. I'd finish at the gym by like 9. Then I have to go home, shower, eat, get into bed. I'm like, it wasn't, and it was just, I didn't have the motivation to do it. I think that's where it's like, okay, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick to the thing that I actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Which is the main thing.
I suppose the enjoyment element of it as well is like, is a good thing for a personal standpoint, but I think what the good thing about our job is like, we can do something, or we can put out a bit of content, or we can work with a client, and you can see the benefit happening and like unfolding. So you can watch that client like be really timid, not go into the gym, not know what they're doing. You work with them for 2, 3, 4 weeks, then you just start seeing that change. And I think that's like the best part of it. Obviously, the enjoyment and stuff, but just you put in loads of work and then you actually see the returns. It's not like you go somewhere and like, I don't know what it's like in other jobs, but you serve someone at the bar, you give them a drink, they're happy for 2 seconds, and that's it. You actually see someone like unfold, and you see their lives getting better, and obviously the direct feedback that you get from that. And I suppose it's just like a sick feeling, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, obviously, both working with ladies, mainly, is you see how they feel in the gym, and you see it even when you go to any gym you go to. You always see the same. What's the word? Like the ratio in different areas of the gym. Weight section, mainly men. Females usually over on the treadmills, on the machines, and then whenever you speak to them, it's like, oh, I don't want to go over there, it's too scary. But in reality, not in reality, but after a while, when you're with a client, after 2-3 weeks, then you see them on their own in that area, you're like, it makes you feel good about yourself a little. It's like a little ego boost. Like, yeah, like you done that, but then it's like she done that as well.
Yeah.
And it feels good. And that's what you work towards. I think a lot of people are so fixated on, I need to look at the scale go down. Like, if the scale's not going down, I'm failing. But it's the little things, like when you squat down to get a pan out the cupboard, usually people fall back or they just fucking get tired. But then now they can do that easily, or they can carry their suitcase up the stairs, or they can do that, or they don't need a man for, like, as feminist as it sounds, they don't need a man to do anything, because they've developed that strength and confidence in themselves through the gym. I think that's a big thing that people don't look at. But yeah, that's a good thing to see in the gym.
I think the domino effect of that is when they start doing one thing and then the next. I feel like I've quoted this myself, but I probably got it from someone else. But I've always said that like fitness is like a metaphor for your life. So once they start doing stuff like that, they're like, oh well, I've never been into the gym before. I'm probably not very good at it. Then they're suddenly hit thrusting like 100 kg. It kind of transpires into other areas: the job, the relationship, the way they see themselves, and then that one little thing that we've done as PTs, just as someone in the gym, is now having a knock-on effect on how they live the rest of their life. I suppose that's like
Literally, I always say to people, if they're quite scared to do their job, like talk at their job, when it comes to things like asking for a pay rise or can I have holiday this day, can I do this day, most people get scared to do that, and I think just going to the gym helps that alone. So people think I'm crazy when I say going to the gym can get you a job promotion.
100%. I've had clients that have done it.
Yeah, and it's like people don't look at that aspect. It's just, oh, I haven't lost a kilo. I haven't lost 10 kilos in 1 week, so I'm failing. And it's like people need to get out of that mindset because it's ridiculous. It's just a social media thing.
It's the confidence as well. I mean, funny enough, it was the last episode that I did was about confidence. And I said in it that you build, like your level of confidence comes from your level of competence. Again, probably got that from someone else, but it fits. And I think a lot of people just like doubt themselves in what they can do. Yeah. So a little thing like the gym just gives you that boost of like, oh shit, I can actually do this. Like I've had clients who I've worked with, it happened last year, and he lost loads of weight. I can't remember exactly. I think it's like 10 kilos, maybe more. And then he tried to go for a job promotion, which he wouldn't have even attempted to. He might have got it, but he just didn't have the confidence to do it. And it's just little things like that. Just because they've now lost weight or doing whatever in the gym, they go for the job promotions and they get them, and they probably hold themselves in a different way simply because of the gym.
Yeah, even if you want to look at the physical aspect of like their posture is going to improve, so now you look more confident.
Yeah,
and like you breathe better, so you probably talk better. So there's just so many different aspects that people don't think about. Obviously we think about, we don't really think about it, but we know that comes into play. And I think we need to reiterate that more to them, is that you get these benefits as well. It's not just you look better, you get confident. Okay, how do you get confident? How are you gonna move forward in your actual life? So I think when we say, oh yeah, improve your life, people are like, why? Because I'm skinnier or have a bit more muscle. Like we don't actually explain it in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to explain because I think a lot of the way that like social media and everything is now, everything's I want it now.
Yeah,
Amazon Prime, I want it now.
I don't think people believe it either.
What do you mean?
Like I don't think people believe, like if you say, oh, you'll get a job promotion, or not, you could get a job promotion.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't think people believe us if you say that.
How's this going to do anything in the gym? Like, I'm just lifting weights.
Yeah, exactly.
But
sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, everyone wants it now. It's all like instant gratification. I suppose the way that everything is, we can go online, and if you want to look at a sunset, it's going to be there. And I suppose they do the same thing with fitness, is the fact that a lot of the benefits, the main benefits that we both try and say to people, is not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen maybe in a week or 2 weeks. And it's not something that it's almost something that kind of just happens. Yeah. You don't fixate on it. You don't look and, right, am I going to wake up today feeling more confident? Like, no, it's just like one day you'll just turn around and be like, oh shit, like, look at what I've done. Yeah, look what I've done today. I would never have dreamed of doing that last week.
Yeah, I think as well, some people, like you're saying, it doesn't just take a day and it doesn't just take a week. Sometimes it doesn't take 2 weeks. I think some people need to understand is if you're just starting out in the gym, if you've never walked into a gym before and you go with a trainer, it's going to take you longer than it is for Sally that's been in the gym for a month or 2 months or a year. She's been going to the gym for a year on her own. She has a better understanding of how to do things. I think some people just come into the gym after like 1 week, they're like, why have I not lost weight? Because you're not tracking properly, you're not lifting weights properly, you're not doing this properly, like you're limiting yourself. And that's okay because you don't understand yet. And that might take a few months to learn or just get in the routine of doing things.
Definitely.
It's different for everyone. I think everyone needs to just focus on themselves. I think that's where social media is kind of, you just see everyone in the world now and we're all victims to it. I'll see a guy in fucking America who's massive. I would have never seen that guy in my life. I would have never felt bad about myself if I didn't go on Instagram that day. But you can see people all over the world and you'll see, I think it's like you see like the top 1% of people on Instagram and you don't see the rest. So you're only comparing yourself to the top 1% of like physical beasts or guys on steroids or girls with the huge bums, and the better looking people, the better dressed people, all those sort of things, the richer people. And people always comparing them to that top 1%. So people come into the gym and then they're expecting to just get that in a month when it's not going to happen, because that's the top 1%. I'm not going to get there. And I fucking go to the gym. I've been going to the gym for years, go to the gym every day. And they just, people just think they're going to get there by any means necessary in a month.
I don't think they appreciate the trade-offs as well of like, okay, cool. You can, well, first and foremost, you can't ever look like someone else because you're not them. Like exactly. you're gonna look like you. I suppose it's just like,
I used to think that when I was younger.
Yeah, you was.
Oh, he's got abs. I'm gonna do that exercise because I'm gonna have abs like his. I'm not gonna have abs like his.
Just not gonna have abs like there's always, you just like never-ending cycle. You're never gonna get there. Lost where I've gone there. What was I talking about? I lost my fucking train of thought.
Talking about the money you're sending me later.
Oh yeah, £200 that are you? Fuck. Right, coffee break. Let me jump back in. I've lost my train of thought there. Top 1%. Oh, that's it. Got it. So obviously, you're looking. It's obviously never compare yourself to anyone else, and also, most people don't want to do what they're doing to have that lifestyle. Like all you see is the picture. You see that person that's shredding. You're like, yeah, that'd be cool. But do you want to not go out and not socialize and not have a normal life and track all your food and do all these calories? Like, yeah, cool. If you want to look like that, then you've got to do what they want to, like they've done to get there. Yeah. But most people are not willing to do that. They're just willing to be like, I'm gonna look like that by doing fuck all.
You know, my biggest example of that is when a woman tells me, I don't want to lift weights because I want to be too muscly. Always hear it. You'll hear it probably once or twice a week at least. I don't want to lift weights because I'll be too muscly. I don't want to look like a bodybuilder. And I always say to them, with no disrespect, you will never look like a body. Like you don't have the work ethic to get how that guy's got. Like we know that guy's eating chicken and rice like 4 times a day. Boring life. Doesn't do anything. Drinks all that, like carries around that 5-gallon water bottle or whatever it is, 1-gallon water bottle, and then they're in the gym twice a day, 3 times a day. They're doing cardio. They're lifting the weights. They're injecting themselves with stuff if it's unnatural. You don't have that work ethic, and it's okay to not have that work ethic. It's just you're not going to get there by accident. There's guys out here trying to be that, and they're putting their arse into that every day, and they're still not getting it. So how are you just going to miraculously just fucking become a bodybuilder? Yeah. Like, it's borderline disrespectful to them. I don't like the whole look, but I understand the work that goes into it. I think some people don't understand the work that goes into that. It's not an easy thing to get that big.
Yeah. No, I don't think they appreciate how much goes into it.
Yeah.
But we're going to move swiftly on. I feel like we're going really fitnessy, and I'm going to bring it back. But we're going to have something coming soon about fitness, a little joint thing. So that's what I'm going to say about that one.
Little plug.
There we go. Keep a lookout for that one. So we've kind of touched upon it a little bit. I want to go back, obviously, more so to you, of like mindset. That's such a fucking broad term. Yeah. It's like, what is mindset? But like, what kind of things drive you? Not just in the sense of work, just anything.
Just in general.
Like, what's your motivators? What's your drives?
So I say I've been thinking a lot lately. I say in the last couple months, because growing up, like I said earlier, I've always played sports. I played sports because I loved it, but then I played sports because I wanted to do something. I always thought I played it because I loved it. But then when I think back, because my memory is quite good, and I can think back to when I was like 6, 7, 5, and I remember saying things. So my mum would drop me off at football practice, and I'd always go to different football practices, and she would sit there, watch me, whatever, read the newspaper, and every day after the session, I said to her, she was like, "How was it?" Blah blah. I was like, "Yeah, it's good. Everyone's saying I'm the best here." Blah blah. And I was like, "I'm gonna be a pro," and she's like, "Yeah, you can be a pro if you want to. Obviously, just what mums do." I was like, "Yeah, so I can buy you a house." And I would always say that, so I can buy you a house, so I can do this. And it was never, because I love football. It was always, so I can buy you a house. And I think when I got to like 10, 11, I think my mum was a young mum, so she was still growing as well. So she didn't understand what I was saying. Or she just looked at it as cute. My son wants to buy me a house. Not that, why does a 5-year-old want to buy me a house? And obviously it was just me and my mum growing up. Obviously I have my nan, and I have a very small family. It's like 6, 7 people. But mainly just me and my mum. And So obviously living in a council flat, you know, that's the main goal for me. Like I used to look at people who had stairs in the house as rich, which is just when I got to like secondary school, I realized that's ridiculous. Or like when I was like 16, I was like, this is ridiculous. And yeah, stairs or a garden, you were rich to me. No matter where you lived, who you were, if you had stairs and a garden, you were rich. And I didn't even grow up poor. Like my mom like has a decent job now, but she did work in McDonald's when she had me, and that sort of stuff. But that was my why at the beginning. Like from like 5 years old, my why was to provide basically. And yeah, when I got to like 10, 11, my mom was like to me, I said it one time. My mom was like, I think it upset her because now she kind of understands what I'm saying, and she doesn't like that feeling that she can't provide for me. So she said to me, she basically just told me I don't need to do any of that. Don't need to buy a house, don't need to do that. And then maybe like a few months later, I stopped playing football because I realized I don't really give a shit about trying to be a pro. I just give a shit about making it somewhere.
Trying to make the money, yeah.
So I can, you know, do that. And I still have that mindset now of I still want to do that. It's probably heavier now. But yeah, it faded away for a lot of the years. And then I was kind of just lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I was getting into trouble at school, getting expelled, getting into fights all the time, just getting in loads and loads of trouble. And yeah, over time, I just lost my why because I didn't have it anymore because she told me I didn't need to do it. So I trusted her with that. And but then I started playing basketball because I love basketball. I actually love playing basketball. And then that became my why again. I was like, okay, I can buy a house with basketball now. So it just always relates back to that. And then I stopped playing basketball. I think anxiety came into it a lot as well. I think because I was sure, I was like, I can't compete with these people when I could. But yeah, I just lost that why again. And it just kept happening. And then I just went into the whole, let me just find a job. I was basically just falling into the rat race at some point. And I think, yeah, over like the last year, I've started to remember these situations. And probably similar to how my mum realised that what I was saying, I've realised what I was saying again. And now I kind of have my why. And it's like to provide for the family and that. My mum, even my nan said to me the other day, she's like, when you buy me my condo or what's it called? The bungalow. That's it. When you buy me my bungalow.
Listening to too much American music, mate, condos.
Yeah. Literally. My mum told her she's probably going to die soon anyway. Probably the best thing. But yeah. So that's like one goal is like, let me try buy her a bungalow before, you know, that time comes. Just so she gets that feeling of happiness that she wanted one. So I'll try and get her that.
I suppose it's like a sense of providing, really, if you go to the deep level.
Yeah, literally. I used to think that money was my why, like just because I wanted to have a nice car, a nice watch, a nice house. And I think that's that stage where I was falling into a rat race. That's what I wanted. I think that's where I came away from my real meaning of providing.
Yeah.
So now I only want money to provide. I don't give a shit about if I have a fucking Lamborghini or whatever. Yeah, it's nice, cool. But if I have a Lamborghini and my mom's still in the same house, I failed. I've never understood that sort of stuff. Or like guys will go and buy Rolexes, but your mum pays for every shopping meal. Or like your mum's doing everything in the house. Like, yeah, I never want to be that person. I think I was falling into that from probably like 16 to 20, 19. I think I fell into that a little bit, that mindset.
Yeah. I can't really like, on my sort of end of that, I don't know if I thought about it too much. I think my why, I'd tell you what, my why, if I was to have one when I was younger, was very egotistical. I thought I was just a lot smarter than I've just thought I was smart. I come from my family don't go to, like, no one's been to university. Actually, no, they have now, my younger cousins. But I think at the time I was going to be one of the first people, and that was my driver. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be the smartest guy. I'm going to go to university and do all this shit that I don't want to do, but I'm just going to do it for the sake of doing it. Like I was just looking at the things that I like enjoyed, like science, and I was like, right, what's the highest paid job? Because money was a driver, and then what's going to make me look the smartest? And I landed on biochemical engineering. Don't give a fuck about biochemical engineering, but it was so like egotistical that I was just like, yeah, I'll go for that. And I think I got to the stage where, like you just go in that in-between sort of lull of just like, oh no, I don't want to do any of that. And I think it's so easy in that in-between stage where you don't know what it is that you want to do. Because I feel like a lot of people do fall into that, which is not a bad thing. I think we're very lucky in the sense of we know what it is we want to do. We know the impact that we can have. And luckily enough, we can make a job out of it. So if you work hard enough, obviously you can do it. And what can happen when you're in that in-between stage is you just get stuck, like you say, in the rat race. You just go to a job, pays the bills, you then get a promotion, you then go to the next thing, which is okay for some people, but I guess if you want more, that's where it can almost kind of like be a bit of a like a sticking point. Because I got to that with construction, and I was just comfortable. I was just like, yeah, get paid weekly, just getting drunk. Like, we'll work during the day. I was just drinking in the evening. I wouldn't drink that much, but I was just happy getting paid. I was getting paid quite a lot for my age, and I was just like, yeah. And I remember just working with a guy, and I wanted to do like personal training, whatever. But he was just like, he knew that I would just get stuck in that. Like, I was just comfortable. So he just almost like bullied me in a sense, just to get me out of that and actually like spark something to go and do something in my life.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is having that little push. Sometimes I feel like some people come into your life maybe for a short period,
literally for a reason,
and it, like those sort of things. If you never worked with him, you'd probably never be here.
100%.
And you'd be stuck in construction.
It's so easy to stay in construction. It's not a bad thing, I suppose, if that's what you want to do. But if you want to do more, and you start off there, it's so easy to stay, because obviously you're getting paid weekly, you're getting a good wage, and then you just keep going up and up and up.
Yeah, some people like the structure of life and the being assured that they're always going to get that monthly check. They like that, and that's fair. If you like it, you like it. If you provide for your family, you provide for your family.
It's not a bad thing, I suppose. If you wanted to do, speaking from my experience, where I wanted to do more, being stuck would obviously hold you back a little bit.
Yeah, you feel like you're failing at that. And it's like if that person was, everyone looks at the next better thing. We're obviously looking at the next thing that's better to us. That person that works in an office job probably looks down on the cleaner. They would never do that job. That cleaner gets paid more than them per hour. So it's like, there's always you're always looking up, and you're always looking down at the person below you. We could say, oh yeah, we're entrepreneurs. We're looking at, you're doing a 9-to-5, brokey. But then we don't have an assured payment coming in. So it's like, you're technically making more money right now.
Exactly. I suppose it's all subjective, like where you're looking from perspective, and obviously subjective to what it is that you want.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the mighty Hounslow. Do you feel like that's had like that environment has obviously shaped your life, and obviously shaped the way that you're going, how you are, hold yourself as a person, your whys, your values? Do you think it has a big impact?
I think it does. I think it's had massive impact over. Like, the thing is, like, Hounslow's not it's not massively bad. Like it gets a bad rep, but it's not Peckham, it's not Newham, it's not Brixton, it's not South.
I'm not a part of this, by the way. If anyone wants to come at me,
it's not Southside Central. It's not LA or New York, Chicago. It's not those areas. It's not Afghanistan. I guess that's one way I look at it. There's always somewhere worse.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful. Like, there's so much things in the area, but then at the same time, it's very depressing. Like, I think it got voted in the top 5 worst place to live in the UK at one point. It's like, just because it's boring. There's when you came, there's so much stuff. It never used to be so much stuff. It used to just be flats or like corner shops and markets, and that's it. There's never like Taco Bell or anything. All we had was McDonald's, and that was it. It was just boring. And then when it's boring, you just do stupid shit. And I think you see so many people. I know so many people who just get stuck. But then I met so many people from the area that are some of the like most driven people I've ever met. And there's got to be a reason for that. Why is there some people that are so driven, some people that are just not driven at all, and there's no in between? You see people just making the most out of their situation, or like they're really trying to get away from living like this boring life, and then some people get stuck in that race of, let me sell drugs, let me do this, let me, just do fraud, do something that's short term. And then they have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids by the age of 24, and now they're stuck in that race of trying to get out. And I think I probably was on the other spectrum. I just want to get away from it. That's the reason I've always wanted to buy my mum a house, because all of the houses on my road have been broken into. And it's not a safe place to live, especially for a woman. It's like all those houses, they were attacked because this woman or an elderly person or this or that. So yeah, it's more of that. I need to do it so that I can move my mum to a nicer area. But again, it's not the worst area. It's not the worst place to live. There's still good things about it. It's just, it's so tense, if you know what I mean. Like when I go to different areas, or wherever I'm at, if I go somewhere in Surrey, I feel so relaxed. I don't look over my shoulder. If I'm walking down Hounslow, I know everyone that's everywhere because I'm so like on point with it. And you have to be. Like if I'm driving, I'll at least 30 people looking into the car, see who's in the car. Or if I'm walking, you'll see people slow down, look out the window. And that sort of feeling is like, although nothing happened, it's that feeling of always what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
What happens if someone doesn't like the way I look? Or like there's people, like I've had like 4 fights, not fights, but like disputes in the gym and in my gym in the last 2 months, just because people don't like that you glanced over at them, or because you didn't speak to them the right way. And you don't need that. It's just not something you need to live, like have your life. It's just a bad energy in a way. I think if I'm not gonna go into the universe and that shit. But it's a bad energy to have. It's a bad environment to be into for you because it's stressful, because you always have that in the back of your head the whole time.
Do you feel like it's like that though because you know it could happen? Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, if I was to walk down there, I probably wouldn't look over my shoulder. But then is that just me being oblivious, or do you just feel like you look over your shoulder because you know what could go on and people might know you and recognise you?
I think that's where street awareness comes into it. Because even if I go somewhere else, like
I'm trying to say I'm not street.
if I go somewhere like to, I remember I went to Hackney one time, and Hackney's Hackney used to be really, really bad. Now Hackney's become very gentrified in a sense. And I went there like, on a double date. I met this guy for the first time. He's from Reading, and he's just very nice. He's a very good, nice person. And we're walking down Hackney, and he needs a lighter. So he just crossed the road and walked over to this like gang of people and was like, "Do you lot have a lighter?" And he's like, just talking to him like, and he's getting like all this stuff out. He's like, and then they were asking him for things like, "Do you have this? Do you have that?" Like cigarettes and stuff. Nothing like, they weren't robbing him or anything, but they were like, "Do you have this?" And he was like, "Yeah, take it." And it was just so nice to them, and they didn't like it. They were like, "This is weird." But he was just so like nice to them. And I was like, I would never do that, because it's just, you just put yourself in a situation that could go very wrong. In my mind. So maybe it is the way that I think. I think it's just yin and yang in our mindsets, which is bad in a sense. I'm trying to get out of that a little bit. It's not good to think about. Because I think you look at the worst in everyone instead of looking at the good in people. But yeah, like there is good things to it. Like I would never be who I am without it. Like all my friends are from different countries, different cultures, different religions. Like I know so much about like different African countries or Caribbean countries, or like I have Albanian friends, or like Romanian, Indian, Pakistan, anything you name, I've probably got a friend from that or acquaintance from that country. And I think that's a good thing, because you have a broader knowledge of the world. Whereas if you live in an area that's just predominantly one culture, you get stuck in that mind. And I think that kind of limits you to your growth as well. So I think
that's actually kind of worse though, really, because you need to experience different things and different cultures so you can, like, if you're just, I know I've met a lot of people, especially in Surrey, that just like meet one kind of person and that's it. You don't understand that there's more to the world and there's more to how other people live. Maybe because obviously for like Tenerife and things like that, but it is definitely better to understand other cultures than it is just to think, right, this is how things work, and that's it.
Exactly. And it's like I know words in different languages, just like a few words, but in just random languages, just because I have friends from different countries. It's just like, it doesn't benefit me in any way. But it just shows that you're mingling with different people.
Diverse.
And I think it helps as well, because you meet so many different people. Like you'll see, I know people who are immigrants who come from Afghanistan, and you know their life was crazy back home, and now they're here and they're doing better than me. I'm like, how? Like, I got the head start. How are you doing better than me? It's like, although that can be a bad way to look at it, it's like this guy's doing great. Like the fact he's come from a war-driven country to make like driving a BMW or whatever it is. Obviously that's materialistic, but it just shows if he can drive a BMW, a brand new one, he's clearly worked. And it kind of motivates you in a sense.
Kind of reminds me of a quote. It's like, there's always someone that's had it worse and doing better. And when you're thinking, oh well, I can't do this, and it's like, well, someone's done it before you and they've had a worse start or situation and still managed to get it done. And I suppose cultures like that, people like that, when they come at maybe a disadvantage, it kind of shows you that it can be done, and you have got a head start, or like maybe you just need to work harder, maybe you just need to wait a little bit longer and see how you go from there. But just circling back to that comment of what you were saying, you either go one of two ways. Like you get caught up in the Hounslow life, I'm going to call it, I don't know, or you use it as like a motivator to move away. Like we were saying earlier, you move away from pain more than you do to pleasure. And I think you see it as well as stereotypical as it sounds, like rappers and film stars, they always come from disadvantaged areas because I think they know what shit is like, so they don't want to go back to that. It makes them work even harder. Whereas I think if you if you've got a bit of a cushy life and nothing's really gone wrong, then you don't have maybe that drive. Well, some people do, but
there's always something that's pushed them. It might be that their dad's an arsehole.
Yeah. And there's always something.
Yeah, like their dad's paid for everything their whole life, and now he's just become an arsehole, and you don't like relying on him. That's you running away from that pain of having to rely on your dad or whatever it is. But yeah, it's just always trying to move forward instead of going backwards. If you go backwards, then you're going to go back to, or you see, like I said, you see these people that are just bums now, in a sense, like they're selling drugs, they're wearing the same tracksuit that I saw them wear when they were 15, and it's like you got to do something with your life.
There's so much
like,
wasted potential.
Yeah, I've seen people who should have been pro footballers, and they went to sell drugs instead because it was quick money. And like there was even a footballer I knew, and he had a contract with a Premier League team when it became a Premier League team, and he got caught with like 2 kilos of coke on him on the bus, and then then the team got him out of that, told him don't do that again, otherwise we're gonna have to get rid of you. And he got caught. I think he hit a girl or something and pulled a knife out on someone, and they were like, you have everything in your hands right now and you're just throwing it away. So they shipped him to a different country, told him go play over there. Then that team got rid of him because of his attitude, and then now he's back where he first started when he was 14, selling drugs, because it's exciting. It's a drug in itself. Yeah, that people get hooked on, and you see it it's clear as day. You see people do it, and yeah, like I don't want to be like that. I don't want to get stuck doing all of that, because you see, like I said, you can see where it ends up. It's just you're either just a bum, you're in prison, or you're dead. It's like, what's the point?
I suppose it kind of relates to the conversation we were having about the gym earlier, of it's all like delayed gratification. So I think a lot of decision, if you go down that route, you're doing what feels good now and not waiting to what feels good later. And I suppose that's where the gym kind of comes in. It's because it's teaching you, like, right, you're going to do something today. It's not going to make you feel good tomorrow. It might make you feel good for like an hour, but you're not going to suddenly lose 10 kg. You're not going to do all these things. You're basically putting all the work in now so that you can get the result later. And then again, like we mentioned in that lesson, kind of transpires into everything else, like into your job, into the relationships, or whatever it is. It's like, go into the mindset of, you don't do things to get the initial result. Not everything, at least. A lot of stuff you're going to put in the groundwork now. Yes, okay, it might not seem that it's going to work out, but keep pushing, keep doing what you need to do, because eventually it will grow into something that's going to be huge.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, like, even though we just said we don't want to do that, but if you were to get a 9-to-5 job, you're moving forward in a sense. It's better than selling drugs. I even worked out one time that selling drugs works out to like £4 an hour. If you put the amount of time that you're, bagging up all the drugs, and then you're going out onto the road and you're trying to market it, and you're trying to, you're out at 1 a.m. selling drugs, it works out to like £4 an hour.
And the risk as well.
And that's just on top of it. So it's like, what's the point? Yeah. And that's if you're that's small drugs. If you're selling cocaine, then, be Pablo Escobar, I guess. But but apart from that, it's like, what's the point? Like, you always got that constant fear, and there's just no point.
No, yeah, definitely.
But then again, it's from my perspective. That's from me talking. Like I said, I've never had, I've not been dead broke poor. So if I was in that position, I might have done the same thing.
I suppose it's circumstances. Yeah, exactly. So you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
I know people that got kicked out of their house at like 13, 14. What else are they going to do? They can't get a job. They haven't got an address to go to. So there's only one way they're going to turn, and that's to the guys that are telling them, go over there and take this over there for me. Go to fucking Plymouth for me. Just take this over there. And then at the end of the day, they're stuck. And it's addictive, but they found a family in a sense. Yeah. That's one thing that people don't realize, is that they get groomed into being in a family because they don't have that. So they get stuck. So I can't even fault them sometimes, because I can understand from that perspective. Whereas I think that's where some people go wrong. Maybe, like you said, in Surrey, you don't have that around you. So you just look at you like, oh, drug dealer, bad drug dealer.
Mm.
I look at it as like he's had a hard life. He's done what he had to do. So I can respect that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do. So what else was there for you to do?
100%. 100%. Right. So moving on from Hounslow, because we could probably talk about that for ages. So obviously all of this, what we just spoke about, like growing up and environment and whatnot, what is your like life ethos, I guess? Like what sort of lessons have you got, or the way that you now go into things just from everything that's kind of happened over the last 25 years?
Fucking hell, 25 years.
Probably more so. Okay, so I say 25 years, just like more so, I don't know.
Just growing up.
Like,
just
growing up in the last 10 years, like what's maybe some lessons for the people listening and watching that you've got?
That I've learned. I'd say that whenever I've done something, I've always been, or when I was doing things, I'll be very hesitant. Personal training, I'd done a course before, which I just didn't finish because I couldn't be bothered. I was too lazy, or I just didn't know how I was going to do anything in it. I was just confused. I didn't have a plan. I was just doing the course and then just going to wing it. And that kind of left uncertainty. So I just didn't do it. And then I just gave up on it. So I think just get started on what you need to do and just do it. Because if you don't do it, you're going to regret it in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's the hardest thing as well, is getting started. It's the simplest thing. It's like the one step you have to take, but it's probably the hardest one that most people don't do.
I think it's the fear of not doing it. I think Will Smith said it. Was it him? He jumped out an aeroplane or something.
Yeah.
He's scared of heights, and he just jumped out an aeroplane because it just taught him to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's literally just one step to fall out of a plane, and he took that step, and then he felt free in a sense. I think that's where people need to work on. It's not the marketing aspect. It's not this. It's not that. It's literally just doing that first thing. My first thing was just do the course, or it could be just buy the course, or whatever it is. Just take that first step, because then you set yourself up to do it. Yeah. It's like with jiu-jitsu. We both said when we both started, we were both scared to go or anxious to go, but you had to take that first step. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get in the car. If I get in the car, I'm gonna have to drive there. Okay, I've driven there now. All right, let me just walk in, because as soon as I walk in, it's over. I have to do it. I can't be like, oh no, I'm not gonna. You know what? Maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
After I haven't even tried it. I think that's probably where pride and that comes into it. But it's that first step, and then we got in there and was like, this is great, rolling around with men in bathrobes,
getting all sweaty.
Yeah, getting all sweaty with a hairy 40-year-old man in a bathrobe is my idea of a fun night.
But no, the getting started aspect, I think I'm banging on this drum so much. It's like, it is the fear element of like, oh God, what if I get this wrong? What if I get that wrong? What if I'm not very good? You literally just have to do it. Like, it's not going to get easier by not doing it. I think I've probably said that now on this podcast about 5 fucking times now. But it's like with jiu-jitsu, it's like with anything. Like, it's not just going to miraculously one day be like, okay, right, I'm ready now. I'm going to do it. And I feel like it's always seen in a bad light, getting started and being nervous. It's like, oh, well, I shouldn't be feeling those things. No, I think you should. Like, if you're doing something and it's like, oh yeah, this is cool, it's not challenging enough. Like, if it's not giving you some sort of like butterflies or a feeling in your heart or stomach or whatever, you're not challenging yourself enough. You're not doing something.
If you're not scared to do it, then
exactly,
it's probably not worth it anyway.
Exactly.
And yeah, like, I wasn't scared to work at a bar. Like, it's not scary working in a bar. Maybe it's for someone because of their confidence, but or like retail or just an office job. It's not scary to do that to me, so it's not what I need to do. And PT scares me because I could lose everything right now, and it scares you, so you have to work.
Yeah.
And again, that just goes back to running away from pain, and I think that's something to look at, is just getting started. I think if you get started now, look where you'll be in 5 years. Always think it. Anything I've done, I've always been like, I wish I started this earlier. I wish I'd done this earlier. Imagine if I'd done this 2 years ago.
100%.
Like, imagine if I started like boxing when I was like 4 or 5 years earlier. Imagine where I would have been. Or imagine if I started playing basketball from young instead of playing football young. Where would I have been? Because I only played basketball for 2-3 years, and it took me to London Youth Games, took me to all of that. So imagine if I started earlier. Yeah. I think that's just what people always think. It's YouTube as well. I had one guy who told me to start YouTube, and I was like, I don't know. I was anxious. I didn't want to be on camera. Obviously, I'm on camera now, but
there we go,
the guy told me, do it, go on camera. You got a lifestyle that people would like to look into. You know, I was going to sixth form, then going to the gym, then going straight to work, and it was just a routine that students and maybe people a couple years older than me could admire, because I was always working, I was always busy, I had a good routine. He said people need that, it's a gap in the market. I was like, this is just an old man talking, he don't know nothing about YouTube. Like, he's like 45, 50, he's not old, but 50 years old, 60 years old, or whatever he was. And he's telling me to start YouTube. Nah, I'm not going to listen to him, I'm too... But I was saying that to myself, but in reality it was because I was too scared to be on the camera. What are people going to think of me? And then I look back at it and then I see a guy that's done YouTube from the time that he told me to do YouTube, doing the exact thing that he told me to do. And I could have done that and been him. Now this guy's living his life. And yeah, it's just get started. Otherwise you're going to regret it in a year, 2 years.
I think a lot of it comes from like the fear of failure and the fear of judgment. And that's definitely something that I've done for ages. Like... Now I look back, I mean, it's happened, but now I look back on, obviously, let's just go my PT career. There's a lot of things that I did, well, it's taken me a long time to get to a certain stage. Talking on camera, recording podcasts, doing things, even though it might be only 4 people listening or whatever it is, the fear of failure or fear of getting it wrong or whatever. But if it's something you're going to do eventually, you might as well just start and be a failure like straight away. Like, otherwise you're going to waste 6 months of your life thinking about it. And, well, eventually you're going to have to do it. If that's the way that, whatever you're like, obviously let's talk about PT. If that's the way that everything's going, I'm going to have to be on video, I'm going to have to do all these things. We might as well start now. There's no point starting in 6 weeks' time. It's like kind of like when you go into the gym. At some point you're going to have to go. And at some point you're going to be a failure. And at some point you're going to feel like an idiot. So save 6 months of your life and just go and do it now. Get it over and done with. Yeah. And then it slowly gets easier.
It's like this. There's probably 2 people listening right now.
Yeah, literally.
But it's better for us to fuck up now than it is for us to fuck up when there's a million people watching.
100%.
And it's better for you to go to the gym now than it is for you to go when you're 70 years old and doctors told you, you know, you've only got 2 years left if you don't go to the gym. You know, people, you always see the older people coming to the gym now and they'll be like, yeah, my doctor said I need to come here. I'm like, oh, high blood pressure or heart. There's always something. So now they're just on the treadmill walking and they're doing their light weights. But imagine if they'd done that from 20, 30, 26, whatever the age is, even 40, 50, just start. Even if you're 60, start. It's going to have benefits in 2 years, 10 years, 5 years. And then if you start when you're 60, you're going to be able to see your kids' kids, or your kids' kids' kids. You never know. And if that's something you might want. And then like even now, I think, or I say to people when they say they don't want to lift weights, like think about when you're older, do you want to, you know, have someone wipe your ass for you, or do you want to wipe it yourself? Because you're not going to have that bone density in your arm to fucking move it as much or stand up straight and do that sort of stuff. So do it now. That's why I started stretching more. I never used to stretch. Started stretching because then, you know, when you see bodybuilders try to get a post-it note from their back, I was like, I can't be like that. I can't do that.
Literally. But as, like you said there about the like this podcast, there's probably going to be about 10 people watching. But we're not doing this to try and get 100 views. Like, if that was the point, when we never do it. And I think that's what people go into the mindset of things. It's like, well, I'm going to do this and I want to be able to be the best. I want to be able to lift 100 kg. Oh, what's the point of me stretching 10 minutes today? It's not going to do anything. Well, it might not now, but it might compound into, like, this might just be the domino effect. Like, we need to do this now if we're going to do the podcast together. We need to put in the reps in now, being able to talk to people and, like, talk to each other and flow. But we need to get to a certain stage. To get to that certain stage, not just going to happen overnight. We're not just going to like have conversations off camera and then suddenly we're going to be the best podcasters. We've got to do these shitty little ones that no one's going to listen to then get to that thing.
Yeah, because we could have conversations 100 times out of this room, and then as soon as we get in here and the cameras are on, we shit ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's always just get it going, and the sooner the better. If it's right now. If you want to go for that run, do it right now. Yeah. And just get up. Like I always say, like everyone says, I'm gonna start on Monday, but Monday never comes for most people. So I always live by, let me start today. If I want to go to, like today or yesterday, I wanted to do cardio. I was like, I'll start on Monday. And I thought to myself, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna do it tomorrow after the podcast. I'm gonna do my 20 minutes of cardio because I've eaten like a fucking slob this week. Yeah. So I need to do something. And I think it's just getting started on the things you don't want to do is gonna benefit you so much more in the long run.
was just pulling up a quote there when you were talking. Is rush to embarrassment, which was something that I was watching a camera confidence video, and it basically said the faster you can get over it, the faster you can move towards the thing that'll make you feel better. So it's all these things like we're saying now, like, I mean, this is not embarrassing, but like we're saying, oh, well, no one's going to listen, but we need to get this first podcast done in person so that we can get to that stage, and we're never going to get there if we don't do it. Like, you just
could be embarrassing.
Huh?
It could be embarrassing.
Oh, it could
think
be,
about it, it's like just two guys sitting on a sofa
talking to each other about life
with a mic stuffed up their throat. It's a bit embarrassing if there's only two people watching, probably touching themselves a little. Just a perspective, it could be embarrassing, could not be, but yeah, I think rushing to embarrassment is probably your quickest way to doing better.
Yeah.
And being better in general.
100%. I think as well as obviously like we mentioned earlier with like comparison in terms of like fitness and whatever, you're always looking at like social media and looking at who's doing what. And I think we all do it. I definitely do it. Mine's more so in business as opposed to, never really had like a, I suppose, look at people's body and be like, oh my God, like I wish I was like that. Mine's always been business. I think like my business has always been a big part of like my identity as such. But I think limiting time off social media is probably a good thing when you're trying to like get started and do, and even get started or get out of bad habits, especially like TikTok. Because I've recently, well,
you come off TikTok.
2 months ago, deleted it because it feeds you the shit. Like if you're feeling shit and then you watch a video that kind of feeds into that, it's going to give you more of it. So you just keep constantly going and going and going. And I suppose with like looking at people that are maybe skinnier than you or have a body shape that you want, it's going to give you more of that, and you're just going to be a slave to that.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, is that you get stuck with those things. And I think everyone has that little voice in their head. Actually, I saw something that only 50% of people have that voice in their head.
50%?
I don't know if that's true or not, but
So
that internal dialogue. So, and then I think about, there's some people that you just look at and you're just like, that person looks like they're fucking fuck all. Like they're just
fucking weird.
Yeah, they're just walking. And it's just, if that is true, that's fucking insane, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
But I think what you think to yourself in your head, so even if you don't say it, if you think it in your head or you read something, you start believing it yourself. And for example, on Twitter, if you go on Twitter, people always tweet their thoughts. It's their diary. Twitter is a diary for most people. And if someone says they're having a bad day, they'll be like, oh, I fucking hate my job, I'm depressed, this, that. But then you're reading it in your head and you're saying, I'm depressed, I'm this, I'm that. And I feel like you just keep telling yourself that. And I started seeing, every time I'd read these tweets, I start thinking it to myself. Maybe I'm depressed as well. Maybe I hate my job.
Yeah.
And you just keep thinking it. And then over time, you're depressed, or you're this, or you're that. I'm not saying that's a route to depression, but I feel like it plays a part in your mind, like how you think. And it's easier to feel that way if you know, okay, that person feels that way, so I'm okay to feel that way now.
Yeah.
And you've got to try and get yourself out that mindset of, let me look at social media to help me, because at the end of the day, it's not. But
I suppose it's not. Yeah, like I think we're not trying to say like get off it. I think it's just almost like know when to stop and know when to limit it, and know when it's just like kind of getting in your way.
Yeah,
it definitely does it for me. Like I'm always I'm a big like nexter. I'm sort of like, what's next? Like what am I doing? What am I missing out on? Where should I go? Where should I be? And then you look at social media, you look at the highlight reel of someone's life. You're like, okay, I should be doing that. That's what I should be there. And it can skew like your view and vision, I suppose, on things, because you're always looking at what you don't have and not appreciating what you do.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it was in the book that I was reading this morning, The Gap and the Gain, that was talking about social media. And it was saying, if you're not paying for a product, you are the product. So like social media will make money off you and feed you what it wants you to keep you on that app. And obviously that's where it gets with the advertising and that. And they're going to slowly like change your outlook, if you let it, change your outlooks on things that you want and be depressed or whatever, or feel like you don't have enough. So that was quite an interesting one.
Yeah, I think when, like you said with TikTok, how you deleted TikTok, I done it with Twitter when I was actually doing my course, and my PT course is, and obviously the first time I fucking flogged it off, I didn't do it because I didn't want to at the end, and then I came back around, motivated myself to go do it. I was doing it, done in-person stuff, then it got to the boring bit, and it's the same bit that I fucked up on last time, is now I have no one there with me, no one to hold my hand. And it's just, I have to do it. It's that self-discipline that kind of comes into it. And I think I lost that in those years. And I was thinking, like, every time I'm doing work, I'll just pick up my phone. Okay, I'll go on Twitter. I'll close Twitter, go onto Instagram. I'll close Instagram, go straight back onto Twitter, and I keep jumping between. I would even go from Twitter, close Twitter, go straight back onto Twitter.
It's meant to, yeah.
And then I was thinking to myself, what the fuck am I doing? Like seriously, like I've just jumped from this app, and then you see your screen time, and it's like, whoa, like 8 hours or something a day, 9 hours a day on my phone. That's a shift, like doing that. And so I said to myself, all right, for 1 week, I'm not gonna do anything. Like I'm not gonna go on social media. I'm not gonna watch TV. I'm not gonna go on YouTube. Nothing. No social. Nothing that can, like nothing on my phone. Nothing technology wise. Basically, only thing I'll do is text people that I need to text, and that's it. And then read books. First 3 days, I was itching. I didn't do any work for like the first 2 days. Didn't do anything. There was one point I sat in my room for an hour. I just stared at the wall. I'm not even joking.
They say to do that though, like to learn to be bored.
Yeah.
And be able to sit there.
You get so bored.
Fucking hard.
And it's a big mental thing because then you're fighting for it. Yeah. It's like you're fighting a drug in a sense, and you're sitting there. You get a headache. Like how if you take a caffeine break, you get a headache. I got headaches. I was sitting there, I was just staring at the ceiling. I'll take naps. But then I think after the third day or the day after, it clicked, and I was like, whoa, like I'm bored. Let me do some work, or let me go do this. Let me go. Like I was cleaning the house more. I was doing everything, and I smashed out all my work. So this work took me about 3 months. It was just sitting there. It was the basic stuff to do. It like how easy the courses are, and I think that's what didn't motivate me because it didn't challenge me.
Yeah,
and so it was just sitting there for like 3 months. And I just didn't do it, and then I finished it all in one day after doing that. And it was just like, and then after that, I went and got a job. I've been saying to myself, I'm going to get a new job for ages. Then I went and got a job, and then I started moving forward, started doing this, started doing that, and it started compounding. Because then after that week, I went back on social media, but it was so much less. I'll be scrolling on social media and I read those tweets now where it's like, oh, I hate my job. I'm like, fuck this. I don't want to read that. And I'll turn it off. Or I'll stop tweeting because people don't need to know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think that it did, what's the word? It might be a bad thing for obviously our jobs on Instagram and stuff because we need to be on social media. So it's trying to balance that for us. But for the most part, if you're trying to do anything in life, say take a week and just fucking come off everything. Yeah. Like no YouTube, even books can be detrimental to you because it gives you a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And it might mean you've done fuck all. It's like you read a book and it's like about mindset. Okay, cool. But if you don't put it into practice, that book was pointless. Yeah. That's why I started taking notes. Because I can read a whole book and not remember any of the book.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you feel good about yourself. Oh yeah, I read books. It's like,
it's a vanity metric. It's like, I read this book today, or I've read this many books this month, or whatever it is.
Doesn't matter. It's like when I say I'm going to read a book a week, but then in reality, if I'm not taking that book in, it doesn't fucking matter.
What's the point, yeah.
But yeah, I think just trying to, that's my advice to anyone that's watching this is take a week off social media. Just try it. Social media, so Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, YouTube. Don't watch TV, don't watch Netflix, nothing, literally nothing that you do. Just stop it all. Stop all of that stuff. And just give yourself 1 week to just that. Like, you don't even have to do anything. Don't do it. I'm not saying go do all the work in the world. Just do it and see what happens. Because then you might, like, after those 3 days, it might be after the 1 day for one person. It might be after an hour. You might just get bored as shit, just sitting there, and you're just bang. Let me go do something. Let me go for a walk. Let me go for a run. Let me go to the gym. Whatever it is, you're actually going to take action on what you need to do, and that's a huge thing.
100%. Just when you said earlier about when you close an app and then open it again, that's when you know you're just like, fucking no, I'm
stuck.
That's disgusting. I hate it. I catch myself. I'm like, what am I doing? I like go on Instagram, close all of my apps that are open, and go back on Instagram. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
It's when you're just sitting there on Pornhub, close it, open it again.
Go back on it.
Yeah, here's my
other way again.
Fourth bash of the day. You're just like, what am I? I don't actually do that.
No,
just twice a day.
Just in the week.
But yeah, it's like that sort of thing. You just get stuck, and it's like you actually. I don't know. For myself, I beat myself up so much about stuff. No pun intended on bashing.
did not get that straight away.
Yeah, I beat myself up a lot over those sort of things. It's like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
The screen time thing, I beat myself up over it all the time. It's like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, even when it's from 4 hours on my phone. Seriously?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
It is bad.
It's terrible.
I can't remember the last time I had a 4-hour screen time. Mine's about 7.
Really?
Fucking bad.
I
But then I
was thinking-
justify it. I'm like, oh well, got to do it for work.
Yeah.
But then how much time do you actually do it for work? You just sit there scrolling, just looking at shit, and it's
I
just
saw my Twitter one, my Instagram was like half an hour, and my Twitter one was like 2 hours. So I was like, "That's an issue."
yeah, it is bad.
But I think I try and limit it. I was on like 7 hours, and I cut it down a bit to like 5 hours. But then sometimes it bumps back up, and I think it's finding the median. Like, it's still good to go on those things because
I think the dose is in the poison is in the dose. The dose is in the poison. One of the two.
Yeah.
It's one way round. Because I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's if it works, but I feel like if it's stopping you from doing, if you're not where you want to be, and you feel like there's something that's kind of like causing you friction, then maybe social media and things like that could be an avenue to look down. Not to say get rid of it, but watch how much energy.
yeah, especially if your job's not on social media.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like if you're a social media influencer, fucking do what
Bit
you need
difficult,
to do.
yeah.
But then again, it's like, how are you spending that time on social media? Are you DMing brands, or are you making posts? Are you doing your stories and all that sort of stuff? Are you commenting on bigger posts, or are you just aimlessly scrolling?
I think as well, because people get like wound up and annoyed on social media of people and whatever. It's like, unfollow those people. I don't follow PTs anymore because I always used to look at them and what they're doing and then try and copy them.
I think that's good in a sense sometimes as well, though. I think it's good and bad. I think there's that quote, comparisons of FIFA joy.
Yeah.
So it is bad sometimes, but then I think it's also good because if you're not looking at the next thing up, you might just get stuck in your own way.
Yeah, that's true.
Like imagine the things that I say that I'm gonna do, and then you're like to me, oh, like, do you think that's best? If you didn't say that, or if I didn't compare something from mine to yours, it'll probably be a lot worse.
But I think that's different because obviously I can see you in person and say that. I think where I was coming at is PTs that I don't like. Obviously I follow you.
Yeah.
I haven't followed you. But it's like someone from Manchester that I don't even know that I've just happened to follow, and I'm looking at what they're doing. It's like, well, I'm only seeing what you want me to see. I think I said this in...
I think I only follow a handful of PTs, and those are ones that I would look up to.
Yeah. Credible ones.
Apart from you, but...
Cheeky cunt.
But I think I would, I only follow credible ones to be like, could I do a bit better at this? Like, what's something I could take from them to do? But I'm not going to look at a PT from like just a Pure Gym and follow them. No disrespect to Pure Gym, but fuck you lot, innit? But it's like, I'm not gonna, even like, I do follow some PTs, but I don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I understand. I think that discipline on social media came from doing that week detox as well. I understand I don't need to take that in. 100%. So I'll just scroll. I'll like it just because I want to support that person, but I'll just scroll past it because that doesn't benefit me. And maybe it's a way with our content as well. People probably scroll past our stuff and there's no benefit to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is okay. You don't have to like my stuff, you cheeky bastards.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it can be good, it can be bad.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you're...
Depends how you're using it, depends on who you follow, what your feed looks like. If you feel like it's causing you a problem, then obviously get rid of it. But I think the main takeaway is, which I always have to remind myself, is like, you're comparing your outtakes to someone's final product. Like, and you're always going to be downhill from there.
Yeah.
Like, so
I still get that now, even with
I still get it, but it's constantly reminding yourself.
With like, like literally what you're saying is, even though I follow those PTs that are much higher, making 10k a month, it's like, sometimes I'll compare, I'm like, fuck me, he's got 7 clients today.
Yeah.
I ain't got 7 in a month, like 2 months. Like, how is he doing that? I'll compare myself to it. This guy's been a PT for 10 years. Like, you just have to bring yourself back down.
Yeah.
And realize that, okay, I'm not there yet. It's okay. Everyone's journey is different. Like, just like how we said with, all right, his ab genetics are like that. My ab genetics aren't his. I'm not going to get those abs. But I can still get abs. It's just not those abs.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the same with business. I'm not going to get that business model, but like he trains men. I don't train men, so why? I'm not going to be like that. I think you got to, as long as you can discipline yourself and know and catch yourself when you're doing it, because your brain's going to tell you things, and you just got to fight it and got to tell yourself.
Yeah, I think on just to finish that little bit off, and it'd be rude not to quote big old Inky Johnson, but he says, "Don't ever wish for what somebody has because you don't know what they did to get it, and you don't know what they're doing to keep it." So it's just context. Obviously, you're just looking at the final product, but you don't know what the behind the scenes are.
Yeah.
Would you actually want that?
Well, it's like, I would love all the money in the world, but am I willing to do what Pablo Escobar done?
Yeah.
Probably fucking not.
Do I want to work 19 hours a day, maybe not sleep, and never have a life?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said earlier, comparison is the thief of joy. So make sure you catch yourself if you're doing it too bad.
100%. So to sort of wrap up, going into like the last bits now. So like your future, like what's your vision for your business, yourself, what you want to do? Yeah.
It's tough. I feel like it always changes in a way. There's always the end goal, like I said earlier, of trying to provide. But I think in terms of business, I want to be able to grow the business as far as I can take it.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be because of a monetary value, but also you can just help so many people. And I think seeing that difference in people, especially with results and their confidence, if I could do it for 3 women, what can I do with 300 women?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing that pushes me, is just to make that change, make that difference for people. And it's not like I'm making a change in the whole world, but 300 people is a lot of people to affect. And I think it's only going to keep growing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, obviously the money comes with it. That's always a good thing. But at the same time, you're seeing this difference in all these people's lives. It gives you that good feeling. And yeah, just building a business as much as I can. Hopefully travel a little bit, go somewhere, move countries for a bit.
Where would you move to?
Fuck knows. Somewhere hot.
Yeah.
With shitty UK weather.
I know
It's probably going to be raining.
I know a good place. I don't really talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Begins with 10. 10, yeah. I
Yeah.
think Tenerife, I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You didn't know Luis from Tenerife?
No, yeah, just didn't put it out there.
Doesn't speak Spanish. Though.
No, not at all. And what would you say for people when they're looking at their future? Like, what sort of things they got to take into mind, like goal setting and things like that?
In terms of goal setting, I'd say make it easy. When I was younger, I used to set small goals every day. I set like tiny goals, and the compound effect was great. So one of my goals was to drink, I think it was 4.5 liters of water a day. Easy goal. And the benefit of that, yeah, I drank loads of water, great. But the confidence, every day I'm ticking something off my list. And make your bed in the morning, you tick it off the list straight away, you start your day good. So always set those goals. I think that's the first step that people skip every time, is they just jump to make £1 million. How are you going to make £1 million? And I might sound ridiculous saying that making your bed is going to make you £1 million.
Yeah.
But I do think that taking those steps, making that discipline, is going to affect your life throughout the day. It's going to affect everything, because if you make your bed, you already set yourself up for a good day. If you have drank your water today, you've ticked it off your list, you're a bit more confident, you can go and talk to a girl in the bar or something. Your skin's better as well, your teeth are better, you're glowing differently, so you feel a bit more confident. And I think those goals should always be set first, those small goals. Then figure out what you want to do in life. Do you want to own a business? Do you want to work a 9 to 5? What's in that 9 to 5? Do you want to be the boss of that company? Do you want to be the manager, whatever it is? How are you going to get there? What do you have to do here? So, for example, if I use my mum as an example, when she had me, she was working at McDonald's. So she worked at McDonald's at like 21 she had me working at McDonald's while pregnant. And then when I was born, she realised, and my dad left, she realised, okay, I need to do something different because McDonald's isn't going to provide. So she went and got a retail job at World Duty Free. From World Duty Free, she realised, okay, I'm just a retail worker. She then became an assistant manager. Then they said, okay, we're going to put you on an English course because she failed English and maths. So put her on the courses. She'd done those or whatever. Passed those, she became manager. After she became manager, they were like, for like a year or two, they were like, oh, we want you to do like I think it was like a tech ICT. This is when like computers are like really starting to come about now. They were like, we need you to do this course and then we can move you up into HR. So then she moved up into HR. Then she becomes the head of HR and you just keep moving up. And now she works for some sales company or something, I don't know. And now she can do HR consultancy as well, where she gets like £300 an hour or like, and it's like that different. She went from McDonald's to that.
Yeah.
But she didn't go from McDonald's being like, I'm going to be a HR consultant making £300 an hour. She went from, I'm going to get myself a retail job.
You take the steps.
I'm going to be an assistant manager. I'm going to do this and let's do that. And her why was obviously me. So it's like, I think that drives me. That's what made me realize, or going back to our why earlier on, she said something the other day when she was on one of her calls and I overheard it. And it was just like, she just mentioned me. And I was like, oh, that's her why. I was like, I was so brainless to not think that. But she made those goals, those little steps for her why.
Yeah, to help you.
And I think that's what you need to do. Find your why, set small goals, just keep going up.
100%. And then to finish off, what's your definition of success?
I think being free, in a sense. Like, that's always been my thing, is to be free.
What's being free?
So relating back to, obviously, growing up in, not the best environments, it's like, you're always stuck. I think working for people, I hate working for people. So that's always like a chain holding you down. And I don't feel like that's free. I don't feel like working for somebody is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That's my own perspective. For you, it might be, but that's not freedom to me. And if you're not going to drive to get that freedom, like obviously money comes into it. You need money to be free. But I would like to, like you said, you would like to at some point live in Tenerife or Australia, or wherever it is where you can just go to the beach. It's because you feel free on the beach. Everyone feels free on the beach because the ocean is so relaxing. The beach is relaxing. You feel free when you're walking down there.
Jack can't swim, by the way.
I can swim. Don't listen to him. I can swim. And then, I think that's that freedom, is being able to do what you want to do every single day.
Yeah.
And money plays a part in it. Obviously, you have to have money to be able to do things.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, money isn't everything. I think I've learned over the years, money isn't everything. You need to have freedom in financial. Yes, it can be a thing, but mental as well. Mental freedom of not feeling trapped. My feeling is I don't want to work for someone. So I feel like that's my freedom. It's not working for someone, working for myself.
I like it. Anything else you want to add?
I don't know. I feel like we still got time.
No, we still got time, but I've got an idea for something afterwards. But
yeah, nothing else on that.
So where can people find you? What would you do? Where can they search you up and plug anything that you want to plug?
So you can find me on Instagram, which is sjwesttt with 3 T's, I think. You just type in sjwesttt, it'll come up. And
if not,
I'm that popular. You just type in and it comes up. So you can find me on there. What's the other question, sorry?
Just anything. No, just anything you want to plug or point people towards, or anything you want to finish off with.
If you want coaching, I'm just saying I'm there. Apart from that, it's just start now and just do what you need to do and just get started. I think that's the main thing people could take from this, from what we've been speaking about. I think the first thing, get started, write down what you want to do, jot it down, and just take that step, run away from the pain.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Well, thanks for coming on. And I'm going to finish this off how I always finish it off, with do better, be better, live better. I'm back next week.